I know for a fact that Pennsylvania will dictate who's going to be next president of the United States.
The Puerto Rican Latino vote will be the deciding factor in the swing vote in this election.
In 2020, Biden only beat Trump by about 81,000 votes in Pennsylvania. There are around 580,000 eligible Latino voters in the state, and half of them are Puerto Rican.
Every Puerto Rican is going to vote for Trump right now. We'll take
Pennsylvania, this is going to be a tight race until the very end.
This year, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have visited Pennsylvania more than any other battleground state ahead of the election. And both of them have been trying to earn the endorsements of reggaeton artists.
Justin Quiles and Unwell. I don't know if these people know who the hell you are, but it's good for the Puerto Rican vote.
This is a really big endorsement for the Harris campaign, and given Bad Bunny's popularity across the world and especially among the Latino population.
Latinos were once thought of as a solid voter base for Democrats.
I will vote for Kamala. She's gonna get us out of the hole.
But that sentiment is now shifting.
Trump was already in office. I feel like he's gonna make a bigger difference now.
We visited a few counties in central Pennsylvania to talk to Puerto Ricans about how they're planning to vote and what they think of all this attention. In US presidential elections, candidates don't win by popular vote. A candidate can finish second by millions of votes and still be declared the winner. Instead, they must win the most votes in something called the Electoral College, which means that 7 states effectively decide the election. Pennsylvania has 19 Electoral College votes, the most of any swing state, and is a crucial state to win the election. Jaqueline Torres moved to Pennsylvania from Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria destroyed her home in 2017.
Perdimos todo, las camas, todo lo que teníamos en el hogar. Del cantito donde nosotros estábamos no podíamos ni salir de ahí porque los palos no dejaban pasar los carros ni nada. Entonces yo estaba embarazada, que yo tenía pues mucho miedo, no podíamos ir a los hospitales. El miedo que fue pues lo pasé bien heavy, bien fuerte.
Like over 3 million residents in Puerto Rico, Jaqueline is a US citizen. She decided to move to the US mainland after giving birth to her daughter.
Una vez tuve a mi hija, me cambió la vida por completo. Esa fue mi razón número 1 por que yo me quise venir para acá, pues para sacarla adelante. Puerto Rico me encanta. Es muy bonito y todo para vivir, pero uno no tiene el sostén con un trabajo a 7.25 la hora.
An estimated 200,000 Puerto Ricans moved to the US after Hurricane Maria, which means a significant number of new voters. While Puerto Rico has been a US territory since 1898, Puerto Ricans can't vote in the US presidential election unless they live on the mainland.
Son miles de personas que hay allá que no pueden salir a votar. Tengo mi mamá y mi hermana. El resto de mi familia toda está completa en Puerto Rico. So uno tiene que salir a votar aquí para que le den un mejor porvenir a ellos allá.
Jaqueline now works as a canvasser for Casa in Action, an organization which works to mobilize Pennsylvanian Latinos to vote for Democratic candidates like Kamala Harris. One study estimated that 38% of Latino voters in the state will be voting for the first time in this election. Jaqueline will be one of them.
Hi, my name is Jaqueline. I'm working in Casa in Action. I'm supporting this candidate. Can you support them?
Yep. Yes, I do.
Can you any concern right there, like in jobs, education, custom living?
Cost of living, yes.
Okay.
Plus Social Security.
Hi, my name is Jaqueline. It's for recording for the election on November 5. I'm supporting this candidate. Can you support them?
Nope.
Nope. Muchas personas me dicen como que no quieren salir a votar porque dicen que los presidentes no le dan nada, pero es como yo le digo, si tú no votas, tú no puedes decir yo voté por esta persona y no está haciendo nada por mí, so eso es la importancia de salir a votar.
Despite not being able to vote for president, Puerto Ricans on the island are directly impacted by the US federal government. Trump was heavily criticized for his administration's response to Hurricane Maria, including decisions that contributed to mass food shortages and delays to billions of dollars of aid.
Volviendo al pasado, para el huracán María, Trump era presidente de los Estados Unidos y el único apoyo que se recibió en Puerto Rico fue tirándonos papel de baño. Somos ciudadanos, Puerto Rico es parte de la ciudadanía, so pudimos haber esperado más respuestas de él. Tengo la esperanza de que si Kamala puede ser la próxima presidenta de los Estados Unidos, ella puede dar o aportar un granito más en mi país de Puerto Rico.
In August, Harris was leading against Trump among Pennsylvanian Latinos by 35%. While the Latino electorate has historically leaned Democratic, that trend is no longer a given. And Latinos in the US are increasingly supportive of conservative candidates like Trump. Gardner Mojica, plans to vote for him this November.
I'm hoping and praying that more Latinos jump on board with red because it's going to affect a lot of people. It's already affecting the Latino community with the inflation and everybody coming across the border, moving into town, making less space, making less jobs, making less room for Americans to grow. And like I said, I don't have anything with anybody coming across the border trying to make a better living in an American life. But when you do that illegally, there's a line drawn right there.
Gardner's family is from Puerto Rico, but he's lived in the U.S. his whole life. He'll be voting for the first time in this election.
I actually wasn't too familiar about politics until my wife started getting into it, and then I started listening, and then I started doing my own investigations.
Gardner lives in Reading, Pennsylvania's fourth largest city, which is now nearly 70% Latino. Like the majority of Latino voters in Pennsylvania, one of Gardner's primary concerns is the economy.
We were better under Trump. Work was better. Prices were definitely low. Right now, a pepper's up to $5. You know, there's a lot of things breaking down right now because of who's in office at this moment.
When we interviewed Gardner, he had just returned from a Trump rally 6 hours away.
We got back at 4:30 a.m. this morning, and I took my wife to work at 6 a.m. It really surprised me how much I've grown attached to these people around me that I've met at the rallies. And if you're a patriot or a part of MAGA, you would already know that you want a president that's going to put his foot down and do the right things for the country.
It is difficult to anticipate how new voters like Gardner will vote. And in swing states with narrow margins like Pennsylvania, these voters could tip the election.
I think I have some stuff here, yeah. Trump headbands, car covers, Trump decals for the windows, block the sun. These are the Trump golf balls. And they say Trump 2024 on them. Doing this vending has allowed me to meet so many different great Trump supporters. It's been an amazing trip, and I don't regret anything. If I had to do it again, I'd do it again for another 4 years.
Many Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania have been living here for generations. In the 1940s, Puerto Ricans were flown back and forth from the island to central Pennsylvania for seasonal work on farms. Jaqueline Torres Figueroa's grandfather also migrated around that time period. Her family has lived in and around Reading ever since.
My grandfather, he came to Pennsylvania from Puerto Rico because of, like everybody, job. And he came and he was able to speak both English and Spanish because he served in the military. He was able to find a job at the local steel mill in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. He was looked at as a leader at work and in the community. My grandfather, again, the founder of the Centro Hispano, founder of the Puerto Rican club in the city. So my grandfather was, in essence, my mentor, my hero, and I'm following in his footsteps. And he never ran for office, but he always told me, if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Jaqueline and her husband Angel are deeply involved in Pennsylvania politics. They are both members of the Democratic Party and have run for local office.
So that was my first run. I won by 3 votes. It was a great win. 2 days after, our bank account was negative $9. We had no money, but we won the election.
Jaqueline lost a close local election in 2023. She now worries about misogyny in the presidential election this year.
This is my poster from when I ran as a Democratic candidate in 2023 for Berks County Commissioner. Only female on the Democratic ticket, and what bumped me out was a difference of 1,984 votes. And again, a lot of votes that male voters in Pennsylvania refused to vote for women. You know, there's this, unfortunately, this sexist mentality when it comes to going out to vote. That women are inferior to men. And that's one of the reasons why, I'm supporting Kamala Harris for president, because she's strong.
This year, they are organizing behind the scenes.
My family and I, besides running candidates for office, we also try to empower our community to realize the importance of their vote.
Biden is president today because of Reading. Of course, Philly's gonna come out as they should, Pittsburgh's gonna come out as they should, but these smaller communities like Reading and Allentown, that's where you win elections. My daughter, Olivia, is working on the ground. She's doing voter registration. She's like, Dad, I'm concerned. I've never, ever experienced having so many Latinos getting registered as Republicans. So they assume that Latinos are Democrats. And that's not my experience. When I'm out, when I come after mass and you talk to Latinos, they're like, no, we're not supporting this. While overwhelmingly they'll vote Democrat, but it depends on the issue.
For Angel, the biggest issues are comprehensive immigration reform and the economy.
I think the cost of goods is another factor. I feel it. We feel it in our house. Overall, we'll see what's going to happen come November 5th. It's clear to me that Latinos, in particular Puerto Ricans, will decide who's going to become president of the United States. Kamala is going to be so much better for our community, but I hope that when she wins, that we'll be front and center. We're not going to be the third row. We're going to be at the table.
At the end of the day, we just have to hope that the person that you support gets into office. And if they don't, then we just don't give up, right? We still have elections every year. Your local elections are more important than your presidential elections. For me, the work continues.